There is something sacred, powerful, and deeply misunderstood about the very essence that defines blackness. It is not just a color, not just a skin tone, but a code, a divine imprint written into the DNA of millions across the globe. The melanin that gives the skin its rich, radiant hue is not just a pigment, it is history, resilience, and memory intertwined. It is the physical manifestation of survival through fire, of triumph through centuries of storms, and of beauty that cannot be replicated, no matter how the world tries to imitate it. When we speak of the Melanin Code, we are not speaking about vanity. We are speaking about power, the kind that is born, not made. The kind that does not beg for recognition because it existed long before the world learned to measure worth through complexion. The world has spent centuries teaching black people to doubt the very thing that makes them divine. Through colonization, through slavery, through media and miseducation, the narrative was twisted until blackness became something to apologize for, something to hide, something to bleach. But truth has a way of resurfacing. No matter how deeply it is buried, it finds its way back to life. The melanin in your skin carries the story of the sun, the original source of all life. It is built to absorb, to protect, to thrive under what others might find unbearable. That is not a coincidence. That is design. The same sun that burns others feeds you. The same environment that drains others fuels you. That right there is strength. What many people don't understand is that melanin is not just about appearance. It is connected to energy, to rhythm, to intuition, to creativity. It's why black people have always been innovators in art, in music, in science, in leadership, even when they were denied credit. The beat of the drum, the power of the voice, the brilliance in invention, these are not random. They are expressions of something deeper, something written into the biological and spiritual blueprint of a people who have always known how to transform pain into poetry and struggle into sound. Melanin connects you to rhythm because it connects you to the earth. It makes you sensitive to frequencies that others overlook. It makes your soul move differently, think differently, and feel differently. That is not weakness. That is evolution. There's a reason the world fears what it doesn't understand. The fear of blackness has never truly been about skin color. It has been about potential, the kind of potential that cannot be enslaved, cannot be colonized, cannot be erased. When the system teaches you to hate yourself, it's because it knows what happens when you love yourself. When you awaken to who you are, you become unstoppable. That's why for generations there have been wars not just for land or labor, but for the minds of black people. The greatest war ever waged against Africa was psychological, to convince its children that their reflection was a curse instead of a crown. But that spell is breaking. You can feel it in the rise of pride, in the movement toward self-education, in the global celebration of melanin. Melanin is a symbol of resilience. It endured the desert heat, the plantation sun, and the fires of oppression. It absorbed the blows of history and turned them into armor. When they stripped away names, languages, and kingdoms, what could not be stripped away was the essence of being. Even in chains, the glow remained. That's not just pigment, that's power. Every shade of brown and black tells the story of survival, of adaptation, of evolution. And yet the same world that once demonized that skin now worships its beauty, tanning to match it, imitating its features, borrowing its style, copying its rhythm. The irony is not lost. The world once rejected what it now pays billions to reach. There's a deeper science to melanin that goes beyond culture or race. It's the molecule that allows you to thrive in light, to connect to nature, to adapt to the harshest environments. It is the reason why African civilizations flourished near the equator while others perished. It's why the builders of pyramids, astronomers of Nubia, and philosophers of Timbuktu understood the relationship between body, earth, and universe in ways that modern science is only now beginning to grasp. Melanin is not just physical, it's spiritual intelligence. It links mind to cosmos, past to future, heritage to purpose. And once you understand that, you realize that blackness is not a limitation, it's a legacy. But here's the truth. Understanding your worth means unlearning lies. It means breaking the mental chains that were placed generations ago. It means recognizing that you are not less than anyone, nor superior to anyone, but unique in ways that are profound. You carry within you the blueprint of innovation and survival. The first human being, the first mother, the first civilization, all emerged from your ancestors. The world began where you stand. So when someone tries to convince you that your worth is defined by systems or borders or opinions, remember that history itself began with your reflection. What makes melanin powerful is not just its chemistry, it's what it represents, the unbreakable link between humanity and the source of creation. It is proof that you belong to a lineage that mastered the art of thriving under pressure. You are living proof that brilliance can be buried, but never destroyed. Your hair defies gravity because it remembers the sky. Your skin absorbs sunlight because it remembers the warmth of the beginning. Your rhythm flows because it remembers the heartbeat of the earth. You are not just existing, you are continuing the greatest story ever told. Now the challenge is to awaken that awareness and live it. Every young black man and woman must know that they carry more than DNA. They carry a responsibility to rise, to lead, to heal, to educate, and to build a future that honors the ancestors who endured so they could stand. The Melanin Code is not just about knowing, it's about doing. It's about reclaiming the power that was hidden in plain sight. It's about turning self-awareness into self-mastery. It's about understanding that black unity, intelligence, and pride are not threats to the world, they are gifts to it. The time has come to stop asking for permission to shine. The time has come to recognize that your skin is not a disadvantage, it's divine armor. The time has come to see that blackness was never a mistake of biology, but a masterpiece of creation. The world needs the creativity, the leadership, and the compassion that flow from melanin-rich heart. The world needs the balance and wisdom that Africa once gave and can give again. But that can only happen when black people stop seeing themselves through the lens of struggle and start seeing themselves through the truth of power. Every generation has a code to unlock. This generation's code is melanin, not just as science but as a symbol. It's a reminder that strength is not always loud and power is not always visible. Sometimes, it's embedded in your very being, waiting for you to remember. The world once feared black power because it misunderstood it. True black power isn't domination, it's illumination. It's the power to heal, to create, to unify, and to uplift. And once you unlock that code, once you see who you truly are, there is nothing the world can do to stop you. The Melanin Code is a call to remembrance. It is a whisper from your ancestors, telling you that you were never broken, only tested, that you were never less, only made to forget, and that your true power lies not in imitation, but in authenticity. You are the continuation of a story that began at the dawn of humanity, a story of light, resilience, and rebirth. So stand tall, shine unapologetically, and never again let the world convince you that your color is your weakness, because the truth is, your color is your crown. Melanin is more than just a pigment that colors the skin. It is one of nature's greatest masterpieces, a biological gift that holds the story of human evolution, endurance, and unmatched strength. It is the molecule that connects you to the sun, the earth, and every living thing around you. When you truly understand what melanin represents, you begin to see that it's not simply a physical trait, but a spiritual signature, a mark of adaptation, intelligence, and survival written into your very being. The richness of blackness goes far beyond the surface. It speaks of generations that withstood fire, crossed oceans, endured oppression, and still rose to shine. Every shade of melanin tells a story of people who refused to be broken, who learned to thrive in the harshest conditions, and who turned pain into power. It is resilience made visible. Science shows that melanin does more than determine color. It protects, it absorbs, it transforms energy into strength. It allows the body to endure heat, sunlight, and stress with a grace that defies understanding. But beyond the science lies something even greater. Symbolism. Melanin is the physical proof of harmony with nature, of a design so perfect that it resists decay, burns brighter with light, and adapts to everything it touches. That is the essence of blackness. Not just to exist, but to adapt, to learn, and to rise. no matter how many times it is challenged. For centuries, the world has misunderstood this power. Instead of celebrating melanin as a wonder of creation, it tried to turn it into something to fear or to shame. Systems were built to convince black people that their natural identity was a flaw instead of a feature, that their color was a curse instead of a crown. Yet through all of that, melanin continued to shine. The more it was oppressed, the more it glowed. The more it was silenced, the louder it spoke through art, through music, through innovation, through culture. Melanin is a language the world still struggles to translate because it speaks not with words but with presence. Bold, radiant, unyielding presence. To understand melanin is to understand strength. It is proof that beauty can endure anything and still emerge more brilliant. It is not only about complexion but about composition. A reminder that within every cell of your body is the story of a people who built civilizations, who shaped thought, who carried wisdom long before modern history began recording it. From the Nile Valley to Timbuktu, from the mountains of Ethiopia to the shores of the Caribbean, melanin has been the silent witness of human progress, the living bridge between past and present. When you see yourself in the mirror, you are looking at more than reflection. You are seeing history embodied. The same melanin that absorbs sunlight today is the same that protected your ancestors under the blazing heat of Africa's desert. It is the same that gave them endurance in the fields, strength in the marches, and courage in the revolutions. It is the same that connects you to those who refused to surrender their humanity even when everything was taken from them. You are not just wearing melanin, you are carrying legacy. Melanin is also connection. It links every person of African descent across continents and oceans, a living thread that cannot be cut. It reminds you that you belong to something vast, a global family that shares a common origin, a common rhythm, a common strength. No matter where you were born or what language you speak, that deep hue within you is a reminder that your story began long before maps were drawn or borders were made. The melanin in your skin is the signature of the first humans, the blueprint of civilization itself. Yet for all its brilliance, melanin's greatest power lies not in biology but in what it inspires: pride. When you recognize that what makes you different is what makes you powerful, you begin to live differently. You walk taller. You speak louder. You stop apologizing for existing. You understand that the very thing the world tried to make you ashamed of is your advantage, your shield, your strength. This awakening is what frightens those who built their systems on division and inferiority. Because once you realize that your melanin is not just a pigment but a superpower, you no longer look to others for validation. You create your own definition of excellence. That is the essence of the Melanin Code. The unspoken truth that blackness was never a limitation. It is a vibration, a rhythm, a spiritual frequency that has guided your ancestors for thousands of years. It is why black creativity moves the world, why black expression defines culture, why black innovation keeps inspiring new generations. Melanin holds memory, and that memory is greatness. It is encoded with the essence of kings and queens, philosophers and builders, dreamers and fighters. And when you embrace it, when you wear it with pride, you tap into that eternal energy that nothing, not time, not oppression, not lies can erase. So when you hear someone say that melanin is just biology, know that they are only seeing the surface. Beneath the science lies the soul of a people who have always known their worth, even when the world pretended not to see it. Melanin is the reason you can endure more, dream bigger, and shine brighter. It's why your voice carries power, why your presence shifts rooms, and why your creativity knows no limits. It is the living reminder that strength doesn't have to scream to be seen. Sometimes it simply glows. The story of melanin is the story of perseverance. It is about those who faced centuries of denial but still found ways to turn struggle into art, to turn pain into rhythm, to turn survival into legacy. Every drumbeat, every dance, every poem born out of the black experience is an expression of that code, the resilience that refuses to die. Melanin doesn't just protect from the sun, it protects identity, it preserves heritage. It is the quiet armor that has carried entire generations through darkness toward light. And as you awaken to this truth, remember this: melanin is not something that makes you better than anyone, but it is something that makes you uniquely powerful in your own right. It's your reminder that you are connected to something ancient, something enduring, something that cannot be erased, no matter how much history tries. You are not a mistake. You are a masterpiece. Every shade of black, every tone of brown is a reflection of perfection, a living, breathing miracle of endurance and design. So wear your melanin like armor, love it like a crown, and let it remind you every day that you come from a people who have always turned adversity into greatness. Because melanin is more than skin, it is the code of strength itself. The world has always feared what it cannot control, and that fear has shaped much of history. For centuries, the power of Black unity, intelligence, and creativity has been suppressed not because it was dangerous, but because it was unstoppable. When you understand your worth, when you begin to see who you really are beneath the layers of lies, the world trembles because it realizes that control is no longer possible. That is why systems were created, systems of education that erased truth, systems of economy that ensured dependence, systems of religion and culture that taught submission instead of pride. The goal was never simply to oppress. It was to contain the brilliance of a people who once ruled civilizations, built empires, and mastered the sciences of the universe before the rest of the world could even write its own name. The fear of Black unity has never been about skin. It has always been about potential. When you look through the lens of history, you'll see that the pattern repeats itself again and again. Every time Black people begin to rise, to reclaim their culture, to unite economically, to educate themselves independently, the world reacts. Policies change. Leaders are targeted. Movements are divided. Distractions are planted. Why? Because true freedom doesn't begin with weapons or wealth. It begins with awareness. Once a people are aware of their power, they no longer need permission to use it. Awareness is dangerous to those who profit from ignorance. The world understands that the moment Africa and her children across the diaspora unite in mind and mission, the balance of global power will shift forever. That fear has always been the silent engine behind centuries of manipulation, colonization, and division. But the truth cannot be contained forever. We are living in an age where information travels faster than control can keep up. The same internet that was meant to distract has become a bridge of reconnection. Young Africans and their brothers and sisters in the diaspora are rediscovering shared histories, common languages, cultural links that were buried under centuries of separation. The world is watching this awakening, and it knows that something irreversible has begun. Once a people realize they have been lied to about who they are, they begin to rewrite the story, and that, right there, is what the world fears most. Not rebellion, not anger, but awareness. The power of unity is not just about numbers, it's about intention. When Black people begin to see themselves not as isolated individuals, but as one global family, as descendants of kings and queens, scientists and builders, the walls of division start to crumble. The illusion of inferiority fades. You start to see that your struggles in America, in the Caribbean, in Europe, in Africa, are all connected. They are not isolated incidents, but branches of the same tree of oppression. And when those branches reconnect at their roots, the tree begins to live again. That is what the world cannot control. The rebirth of a consciousness that is stronger than any weapon, richer than any economy, and older than any empire. Throughout history, this potential for unity has always terrified those in power. They understood that Africa's wealth, both physical and intellectual, could sustain itself without needing external validation. If Africa united economically, its gold, oil, diamonds, and resources could change the course of global markets overnight. If Africans across the diaspora built networks of education, investment, and innovation together, it would rewrite the rules of modern civilization. Imagine the power of over 1 billion people connected not by borders but by purpose, by a shared legacy of endurance and brilliance. That's what the world fears, not because it hates you, but because it knows it can no longer own you. Yet in that fear lies the world's greatest misunderstanding. The power of Black unity is not about domination or revenge. It's about restoration. It's about healing what was broken and reclaiming what was stolen. When Black people unite, they don't destroy, they build. They create systems rooted in community, fairness, and humanity. The original African civilizations, Kemet, Nubia, Mali, Songhai, Benin, were not founded on greed or exploitation. They thrived because they understood balance, cooperation, and collective growth. The world fears a united Africa because it fears the return of that balance, a new order where justice and dignity matter more than profit and power. Every generation brings us closer to that moment. You can feel it in the rise of Pan-African movements, in the resurgence of African spirituality, in the global recognition of Black art, music, and innovation. This is not just culture, it's the re-emergence of identity, the awakening of a people who are no longer content to be consumers of the world's story. They are ready to be authors again, and once you start writing your own story, no one can dictate your destiny. That's why the world's systems are trembling, because the script they created for you is no longer being followed. The truth is, Black unity is the key to global balance. The same people the world tried to break are now rising as the moral and creative compass of humanity. From technology to art, from activism to entrepreneurship, the sons and daughters of Africa are proving that their light cannot be dimmed. The more you reconnect with your history, the more your confidence grows. The more you learn about who you are, the less you depend on systems built to contain you. Knowledge becomes your weapon, culture becomes your shield, and unity becomes your revolution. But this unity must go beyond slogans and hashtags. It must become action. It must manifest in economic collaboration, in supporting one another's businesses, in teaching our children their true history, in respecting our diversity instead of fearing it. The world fears Black unity because it knows that unity turns potential into power. When you choose to stand together, you shift the energy of entire nations. You reclaim control over narratives, economies, and destinies. And no government, no institution, no force on earth can stop a people who have found their purpose. So when they call your confidence arrogance, understand that it's not pride, it's remembrance. When they call your unity a threat, know that it's not rebellion, it's restoration. The fear they feel is not about you, it's about what you represent, the end of control and the beginning of equality. The world has spent centuries trying to divide Black people because it knows what happens when you come together. When the children of Africa remember that they are one, the world will change forever. And that is exactly what's happening right now. You are not living in an era of confusion. You are living in an era of awakening. The world fears what it cannot control, but what it cannot control, it cannot stop. Black unity is not a dream, it is destiny. It is written in history and culture and in the melanin that connects every one of us. And no matter how hard they try to suppress it, this truth will always rise just like the sun, because you cannot control the light. The melanin in your skin is not something to be ashamed of. It is something sacred, something powerful, something that connects you to the very essence of creation. Your color is not a mistake. It is intentional, divine, and deeply rooted in the history of the earth itself. The world has taught many to see darkness as something to fear, but in truth, darkness is the source of light. The soil that gives life is dark. The universe, the womb of creation, is dark. The richest minerals, the most fertile lands, the deepest roots, they are all found in the dark. So when you look at your skin, understand that it carries the same energy that sustains the world. It is not a burden, it is a blessing. Your melanin is your crown, your natural protection, and your reminder that you were made from something eternal. When you embrace your color, you are embracing centuries of resilience. Every shade of brown and black tells a story of survival, of beauty, of brilliance that refused to fade despite everything the world tried to erase. You carry within you the DNA of kings and queens, scientists and healers, artists and warriors. The pigment in your skin has witnessed the rise of empires, the building of pyramids, the discovery of stars, and the shaping of civilization. When you look in the mirror, understand that you are looking at a masterpiece formed from generations of strength. The world may try to make you forget, but history remembers. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to stand out. There was a time when your color was celebrated as divine, when dark skin was seen as the mark of royalty and wisdom. Ancient civilizations across Africa understood that melanin was not just a physical trait, but a spiritual one. A connection to the sun, to the earth, to the cosmos. That's why ancient people adorned themselves with gold, not to shine brighter, but to complement the radiance that already lived within their skin. Your color absorbs the light of the sun, turning it into energy, life, and strength. It protects you from harm and keeps you connected to nature's rhythm. That is why your color is your crown. It's your birthright, your protection, and your power. But centuries of colonization and oppression worked to strip that truth away. Systems were built to make you question your beauty, your worth, your identity. They told you that light was better, that whiteness was the standard, that your features needed to be softened, your hair straightened, your culture silent. They knew that if you ever embraced your natural self, You would become unstoppable. The greatest weapon ever used against black people was not chains, it was self-hate. Once they made you believe your color was a curse, they no longer needed to hold you down physically. You did it to yourself. That is why today, self-love is an act of revolution. When you love your skin, your hair, your lips, your nose, your history, you are breaking centuries of psychological warfare. You are rewriting the narrative. Every time a black person walks confidently in their own skin, the world shifts. Every time a young child looks in the mirror and sees beauty instead of shame, the chains of oppression weaken. Your color carries a vibration that the world cannot replicate. It's not just aesthetic, it's ancestral. Your melanin stores memory, emotion, energy, and wisdom. It connects you to your ancestors who endured unimaginable pain, yet still found joy, rhythm, laughter, and pride. That is why even in struggle, black people continue to create, to innovate, to shine. The world takes from your culture, your music, your art, your fashion, your language, because it recognizes a light that cannot be manufactured. It tries to imitate your essence, but will never truly possess it, because what you carry cannot be bought or copied. It was inherited. Your color is your shield in a world designed to make you feel small. It protects you from the lies that say beauty must fit a narrow standard. It reminds you that your uniqueness is your power. Every tone, from the deepest ebony to the lightest caramel, is a masterpiece painted by nature herself. When you understand that, you walk differently. You stop asking for validation from a world that profits from your insecurity. You begin to see your reflection as something royal, sacred, and irreplaceable. The moment you accept that truth, no one can use your identity against you again. The world will continue to test your confidence because it knows that once you truly accept your color, you will no longer be controlled. Confidence in your melanin radiates energy that cannot be ignored. It makes you magnetic. People will either be drawn to your light or intimidated by it, and that's okay. Your purpose was never to please the world, it was to transform it. The sun doesn't apologize for shining too bright, and neither should you. You were made to glow, not artificially, but naturally. Every inch of your skin reflects the sun. Every shade tells a story of divine engineering. So when you walk, walk tall. When you speak, speak with power. When you smile, know that you carry the glow of your ancestors. You're not simply a person of color, you are color itself. You are the embodiment of nature's creativity, the reflection of the universe's balance. Every pigment in your skin was chosen with intention. Every tone has purpose. Every freckle, every shade, every curl is part of a larger masterpiece that was never meant to be duplicated. That is why no one else in the world looks exactly like you, because your existence was not mass-produced. It was crafted. Your color is your crown, not because it makes you better than others, but because it connects you to something bigger than yourself. It reminds you of who you are and what you come from. It is the mark of survival, the proof that your lineage endured everything designed to destroy it. You are not defined by pain, but by perseverance, and your color, your melanin, is the living evidence of that perseverance. It shines through every generation, unbroken, unbent, and unbowed. The next time someone makes you feel less because of your skin, remember this: your color is not what limits you, it's what liberates you. It is a constant reminder that you were made from the strongest substance on earth, the soil that grows life, the night that births stars, the sun that fuels existence. You were never meant to blend in with the world's false standard. You were meant to stand out as proof that beauty, power, and divinity come in every shade of black and brown. So wear your color proudly. Let it speak before you do. Let it remind the world that your presence is not accidental. It is intentional. Your color is not your weakness. It is your weapon, your history, your legacy, and above all, your crown.